Hey everybody, Adam from High Desert Hollow here. It is the last couple days of September. We have been archery elk hunting for the whole month pretty much, and we are now towards the end. And we needed some meat for the freezer, so what we've got here is the tag I have is actually good for a cow elk with a rifle within a certain distance of a cultivated field. Um, so what I've decided to do to make sure we get meat for the freezer is we filled a cow tag today. What we're going to do in this whole process is to field dress this animal. Now, there's lots of ways to do it. Everybody's got their own method. Where we're as close as we are to a cultivated field, I'm able to get a four-wheeler and a trailer up fairly close. We only have to drag her a couple hundred yards. So what we're going to do is actually do the complete field dress, get all of her internal organs out of her, and I'm going to go through that step by step. That being said, some of this is going to be bloody, some of this is going to be graphic. If you're not interested in seeing something like this, make sure you stop the video now. I don't necessarily need to be flagged for this. This is purely instructional on the way that I take care of an animal in the field when I can get a vehicle somewhat close to it. If I'm archery hunting, I'm way up on top of the mountain. It's a totally different system. We actually quarter them out on the hill and go through it totally different. It's a totally different way. But this way is one of the most common ways, and this is something you can actually do with any animal. If you decide if you need to butcher a cow, a pig, whatever, you can go through the same process with a couple little tweaks and get it taken care of. So what we'll do is we're going to bring you a little closer here, and we'll go through this step by step. Once again, graphic. There's going to be blood. There's going to be guts. That's all I can tell you. That's what this is about. So if you don't like it or want to see it, shut it off now. Okay, so now we're ready to field dress. A couple things we're going to go over real quick here. First thing is tools. I always carry two knives with me. I've got my main skinning knife and my larger knife. I'll use this to cut the throat and any big work I need to do. But all the inside work and all the fine work, little teeny knife. This is my main hunting knife. Small, I can keep it in my hand, lots of control. I know where it's at all the time. I'm not cutting stuff on the inside I'm not supposed to, not making extra messes. Really important to have the two knives. If you only have one knife, take the small knife, not the big knife. So, but we're not using the little knife yet because we got to take care of the throat first. So, on all these animals, they've got a voice box of sorts, and you want to make sure you don't cut above that. Okay, so once we find that voice box, we're going to cut below it. Basically, we're going to find the spot, we're going to insert our knife. We're going to make sure our knife is not going to go through into the dirt or rocks, because you got to keep these sharp so you can be able to use them. Big important thing right here is you make sure you cut that windpipe all the way through. If you don't cut it all the way through, you're just going to fight yourself in the end. Okay. At this point, I've got that cut all the way through. I'm going to set my knife someplace I'm not going to lose it. I'm going to grab that windpipe and I'm actually going to push it, my hand in here, and you can feel the passage where it goes down through. I'm going to be breaking all that loose because I need to pull this windpipe back through to get all the guts out. And I'll keep pushing this in until I feel it actually go into the chest cavity. About there. Now, when this is done right, I shouldn't be any bloodier than past my elbows. Shouldn't have it all over, anything like that. All right, now we're back here on the back end. Now this is a cow, so all of her parts I'm worried about to get out and out of the way are right here. If this was a bull, we'd obviously have a set of, well, if I have to explain it, you probably shouldn't be watching the video. Here, and then his other equipment coming up through here, we would have to bring that back through. But right now, it's just a cow hunt, so we're not worried about that. So here, I'm going to take this, we're going to take a sharp knife, and we're going to cut around all of her equipment back here. We want to be kind of careful. We don't want to cut into stuff we're not supposed to. But we got to get this all broke loose here. At some point I'm probably going to have to get an assistant to help me. Hey Brian, why don't you come down here? Good thing about hunting is you got friends and family with you. Somebody to help you hold stuff. So we're cutting all around that. Now we're doing the same thing we did underneath, or on the front. I'm going to make sure that's broke loose as best I can. And now I'm going to take this. We got a little bit more here to cut before it'll go. I'm going to push all that up inside of her like that. It's going to make my job in the end a ton easier when it comes time to pulling all the guts out. What we need to do now is we're going to reposition her on the hill so her back end is facing downhill so I can use gravity as my friend, and we'll go to the next step. All right, so now we got her on her back, tail end's facing down. This, on most elk this time of year, there's a little white line right here we can follow. She's already starting to hair up for the winter, so we got to find a spot here. Basically, we're just going to draw a straight line right through the middle of her. I'm going to find a spot. We don't want to cut a lot of hair with our knife if we can help it, because that dulls it really bad. Okay, really important thing here is we're looking for 2 layers. Our first layer is our hide, which is right there. Now we're going to keep on going just a little bit. This is a fat girl. The second layer is right there. I've already been through the hide and the layer of fat. Now this next layer is actually what is keeping all the guts tied up inside of her. We got to be real careful here, because we go too far too fast now, it turns into a huge mess. Okay, so I'm through it. You can see there. Okay, now we're to a point where I can get my fingers inside of her body cavity. I'm going to take my knife and my fingers. I'm left-handed. Otherwise, you'd be doing it like this. I can do it both ways, but I go easier with my left. I'm going to hold the knife between my fingers. What that does is actually protect that tip so I don't stab in. And I'm going to be doing upward motions, cutting all the way up to her sternum, and then I'll come back and cut all the way down to right below, above her udders here. You'll know when you get to the sternum, you can feel it, you can kind of see it there. It's a hard, sinewy type cestus deal there. You can't cut any farther than that with a knife on an elk. On a deer, I've used, you could split the brisket with a big knife, but why abuse your equipment when you don't need to? Okay, now we're going to come back and do the exact same process backwards. I'm just trying to open this cavity up so I have room to work. All right, so now we've got her opened up. You can see this is her stomach coming out. I can't stress this enough. Super, super important. No knife cut this. We're going to make sure we push this down out of the way. This makes a huge mess if we cut into it. Now I'm reaching up there with my hand, and you can feel the diaphragm. It's actually right here. It starts about here and it comes down along her rib cage on both sides all the way to her backbone. It's what separates the stomach and intestines and stuff from the heart, lung, and the heart and lung. The liver's on this side of the diaphragm as well. I got to take my little knife and I'm going to go up in there and cut that diaphragm. Once again, I'm just using my finger as a pointer. Got the knife in my hand. Real careful not to put your fingers up here on the blade because it will cut you. I'm going to go up in there. This is all by feel. I can't see anything. And I'm going to go all the way around to the backbone, like there. Now for the other side, that was the easy side for me because I'm left-handed. I'll have Brian here roll this elk over just a little bit. Oop, not too far. Actually, you want to come around to their side and hold her leg, so we'll let her roll, and then just hold her leg so she doesn't roll too far. Now this is the part where I do it right-handed. I'm going to go in there, find that diaphragm. I'm kind of pushing some of the guts out of the way as I go because I don't want to cut anything that I don't want to. Find that diaphragm. Once again, I can feel where my hand's at. I know where I'm going. Going all the way down as far as I can. If you can't get all the way to the backbone, which I'm having a hard time right here, it's okay. We can clean that up here in a minute. So I'm going to take that knife out, set it aside somewhere where I hopefully don't lose it. Get her standing back up on her back just a little bit. Okay, Brian, take both legs. You take her up the hill. This is the part that you have to work the hardest at. I'm going to reach up in here. I find the heart. I pull that loose. There's a bunch of other connecting tissue in here that I'm just working with my hands, breaking it loose. I'm looking for that windpipe that I pushed down inside. This is a big girl, so she's a long reach. Now you can pull straight, you can use leverage, which seems to work better most of the time. This is the part though that separates the boys from the men, because that's a hard pull. There's still a lot of connecting tissue up in there. Okay, so that's the windpipe. That's what I pushed down from the front side. We got heart, lungs, liver. This was where this is a meat hunt. We try to take and shoot head neck shots if possible. It's never always possible. It's not bad to pull them back, shoot them through the lungs. Try to stay out of the shoulder, try to stay out of the guts. Stuff still happens. If that does happen, be aware that if you're in the shoulder and you're reaching up in there, sharp bones. You can get cut, you can hurt yourself. You don't want to do it. If you get a little bit far back, still not the end of the world. You might have a hole through some of this. Just do the best job you can not to spread it around on the inside. Get them out as quick as possible. Move forward. Okay, so we got the windpipe. Out come the lungs. Those are lungs. Heart should be right there in the middle of them. It is. If it wasn't, it'd be weird. Okay, now I found that diaphragm where I didn't get it all the way cut. Need that knife. So now once again, real careful like, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to work that diaphragm down past where I couldn't get it before. I don't know if I'm done yet. We'll see. You can feel stuff starting to pop and break loose. Guts are coming out. Try to get them to go right between their legs. Getting all that worked out. It's a fat girl. This is a good looking elk. She's in great shape. Okay. Now I'm at the point where I'm ready to take all of her other parts out from the backside. I pushed them in as far as I could. Now I'm going to reach down on this side, break them loose. Break everything loose that I possibly can. I'm going to reach down in there. See if I can get a hold of some stuff. Start pulling it out. There they are right there. Now all I got left is one little piece right here. And those guts are free now. Now, a lot of our family likes to eat the internal organs, the liver and the heart. I will get those out of the guts that we pulled out. I'll actually put them back inside the elk just to get her off the hill with them. Okay, so right here, once again, stomach, intestines, lungs. The heart's right here by the lungs. It's inside a little sac. So we got to cut that sac open. Heart comes out. You should be able to grab a hold of the top of it where the valves are. I'm going to cut that like that. Still full of blood. You're going to kind of hold on to it and get that kind of shook out. Set that in a little clean piece of grass right there. Liver is right here as well. See if I can get to it. Just like that. Take your knife, you're just going to cut right along the top of that liver. Free it up. And once it starts to come, it'll actually tear a little bit if you're not careful. Just like that. Put these up inside the body cavity. We're going to tie some ropes to this elk, drag her a couple hundred yards, and put them in her trailer. All right, everybody. So that's basically the straight up method of field dressing a wild animal. Like I said, you could use this on domestic animals if you needed to. Very clean, very simple. Remember, sharp knives, big knife, little knife, really important. If you had to pick one, pick the little knife, don't pick the big knife. Remember, we are hunting in ideal situations, head and neck shots, don't ruin a lot of meat, but not always ideal. Everybody, like I said, back here behind the shoulders, in the lungs is my second choice if I had to pick, just because of it's just through rib cage into the lungs, they tip over. Try to stay out of the shoulder, try to stay out of the guts. If you get into them, it happens. Don't beat yourself up. Just work through the problem. Try to get if you get into the guts, make sure you get the green matter out. You don't want that in there. It'll taint the meat. But it still can be cleaned up. It might have to be trimmed up a little bit more, but not a big deal. It's not a waste. You're still good to go. Things happen. So, obviously, we're not at High Desert Hollow for this video, but we are still trying to live a more self-reliant lifestyle and promote modern homesteading. This is Adam with High Desert Hollow, signing out.